Hi guys, it's Colette. This is the weekly tarot card for the week commencing Monday the 19th of November 2019, and this is the second attempt to film this. I did a whole video. It was quite a long one because it was quite an intense card, only to find that the sound had switched off again. So I do apologise if I see my energies seem a wee bit but you know me in technology. Mercury retrograde, got a wee cold. I'm going to go for it quicker than the last one. So this week ahead we have the Tower. Sorry about that, but the Tower card is the major tarot influence for the week ahead. As you can see in Rorik, it's got a tower collapsing on itself and coming down. And in the original sort of more the old-fashioned tarot, it has a kind of tower, a dark tower being hit by lightning and people throwing themselves out, and it's a horrific looking card. Nobody wants to see it. Rorik brings out the more modern structure, so let's just go ahead with it. It's not a good card. Not everybody will feel the influence of it, but a lot of people will. So let's do the world situation with it first. The Tower isn't a good card, but we can get through it because there's a promise with it. And the promise is that when that tower comes down, that the bricks and everything are all still there to rebuild, but to build in a different way. So what we can expect this week generally in the world is basically major instability, major influences of structures coming down. That could be governments, it could be countries, it could be generally revolts, it just, I mean, the scope of this card is massive. And in a way, it can be good if that's what has been necessary. If the edifices that have been built are corrupt, or they can't do their jobs, if the structures that are in the world that are meant to be there solid are not, when they come down, we can choose to rebuild them in a different way. And you may choose to use the rubble that comes down, or you may choose to just scrap it all and go. So, you know, like, in a way, the Tower can be seen as a very negative card. We could have seen the Tower come out for 9/11, which is too close a depiction of it. For me, for those of us that knew the tarot and went through it, it was almost like, oh my god, you know. In a good way, it's almost like even the Berlin Wall coming down, where that structure that was there and was there causing division and wasn't relevant anymore. It was torn down. So we don't know what will happen, but in the week ahead, there should be major change, major stress on the world. Now, this can be seen again, as we say, governments, countries, but it can also be earth changes and more flooding, more fires, earthquakes, tsunamis. Anything that brings that degree of structural instability to the earth is represented by this card. I've seen the Tower coming out in smaller amounts when, you know, there's been fracking in certain areas, and I always think that should be a big warning, you know, that if the Tower's coming out with fracking, which we don't have in Scotland, thank goodness, but it's just, this card is just inherent instability and things coming down, and that for the longer term could be very good, and for the shorter term could be difficult to get through. So steel yourselves and get yourselves ready for a week where the general energy will be intense, argumentative. It could be aggressive. And if you're empathetic in any way, try and ground yourself, but don't ground into the earth. I would prefer that maybe you grounded using water, like salt water or the sea, because if you're an empath and you decide to ground your roots into the ground at the same time where there's maybe, I don't know, an earthquake or whatever, then you will just literally transmute that up your body. You don't want that. So if you go in your bubbles, by all means, and if you're grounding, try and do it with food or water or crystals rather than the actual earth herself. You don't need to make yourself a direct conduit to that type of energy. Believe me, I've done it by mistake and it wasn't pleasant. So, in general, it'll be very, very interesting watching political situations all over the world in the week ahead. In general, what does it mean in different areas of our life? In job or career, if you've been coasting along in a job or career that you do not like, hasn't suited you, but you haven't had the courage or the energy to move yourself from it, the decision could be taken away from you in the week ahead. This card traditionally brings redundancies, places closing, and also people having to move on and choose new careers or rebuild. So again, a very stressful energy. As I say, not everybody is affected by the major tarot influence. It's general, but it tends to be the majority. And with this card, maybe you're needing it. Maybe you're needing things in your life to come down so that you can rebuild. But in workplace, keep yourself to yourself, go in a wee bit of a bubble and look after yourselves. And if you don't want to be drawn into anything, don't go there, okay? If we look at health, not a good week for mental health issues. I really do not like the Tower when it comes out, especially when I'm seeing such amazing peaks and spikes of mental health issues. So many people are anxious, so many people are depressed, there's so much OCD out there that when you add the Tower card influence to it, it can bring people to a stage of almost collapse. So if you need help in the week ahead, please ask for it. And if generally you could go into the week saying, right, okay, I need to know that I am on a level that I can maybe cope. So make sure that your sleep hygiene, your food hygiene, and your general mood are as good as possible as you go into the week ahead. And otherwise, just try and look after yourselves. And people, if you have people in your family or your friends or colleagues that you know are particularly stressed or worried at the moment, maybe reach out to them a wee bit and say, do you need a wee hand? Is there anything we can do? Because that's very, very helpful when this influence is about. It also, the Tower, because it's very much the sense of a building, I take to be the bones, and some people could have broken bones in the week ahead. Others could find that they just, maybe arthritis gets worse. Some people may pick up pain in their bones and have it looked at, and it could be osteoporosis. So anything to do with the bones is magnified by this card's influence as well. And I hope that this is still recording. The light is on. I might be figuring out what's going on wrong here because I'm keeping my eye on lights to check that they don't go out. Because it's so frustrating having done a full video, listening to it before you upload it, and for it to cut out. And that's the second or third time it's done that with the sound. I have changed certain things, mind you. So here we go. Right, relationships. If your relationship is not on solid ground, it will be hit by this card in the week ahead. The influence will bring things to the couple that stress them out to a level that they'll either be able to regroup and go forward or let things go. It's not a good card for relationships that are past their sell-by date, and that's all I'll kind of say on that. If you're looking for a relationship, believe it or not, this can be an excellent card. And why do I say that? Soulmates and soul families, sometimes for the souls to recognise one another, they have to first meet. And one of the best things that can bring a soul connection to you, well, there's lots of other ways, but one of the things that can do is chaos. So when life gets a wee bit chaotic, we're not so planned. We don't keep doing the same things all the time. Things can happen with the tower that could take us to a different place, a different destination, meet with new people, and that person might be the person for you. So with the chaos that tends to come with the tower card, I've seen so many influences of this. I've seen so many incidences, rather, of this bringing hearts colliding and relationships going forward. How many times have you read of people that were maybe together in a tragedy or something and ended up getting married and loving one another? Chaos can be beneficial in bringing people together. And that's one of the things that we could say is actually good with this card. If we're looking at money, I'm not a financial expert in any way. People will know the markets, but it's not a good card. It brings stress to the markets. It brings a lot of things changing. And for you personally, watch out for fraud. Watch out for maybe the things that you know that don't change financially actually changing, whether that's because of different interest rates, putting a mortgage up or whatever. You could find that financially there is some sort of blow in the week ahead. Not ideal. As I say, not everybody is going to feel this. So hopefully, who knows? But it will be interesting in the bigger picture to watch out what happens in the world in fiscal and monetary ways in the week ahead. As I say, I always think that sometimes these cards can be terrible for the little person, but actually good if you're a hedge fund manager. We just don't know. As I say, I don't know enough to comment on that in any big way, but for you personally, be careful with your money, and it wouldn't really be the week to invest, I don't think. But again, contact a financial advisor if that's something you want to do. Spiritually, sometimes the structures that we've built up around ourselves are actually preventing our spiritual progress. We might have friendships, relationships, ways of doing things that now don't resonate with who we are spiritually. If you're opening up, if you're awakening, whatever. In that case, this card can be very good because it will stimulate the destruction of certain things round about you that need to go. Still not necessarily pleasant, but definitely longer term can be a very, very good thing. So, my song. I forgot to tell you about the song. The song that came to me for this actually is quite a deep and dark one, and it's not by the original artist, and I'll try and link it down below in the description box, and maybe even in a card up here or here or here or here or here, if I can do that. It's called The Sound of Silence, but it's not the Simon Garfunkel version. It's by The Disturbed, and it's almost the way I see the landscape after a tower card. And it's quite intense and it's quite loud, but oh my god, it gives you the shivers. So if you want to maybe look at that, click the box or whatever. And if you like the way that I read the tarot, give me the thumbs up, please subscribe, all that stuff. Now, Tarot Novice to Pro is my book, and my memoirs are out as well on Amazon, Memoirs of a Clairvoyant. So contact me in the comments down below during the week if you need a wee bit of help. If you need us in the group maybe to, or the community to send a few wee prayers, or, give you a cosmic hug, because this channel's a wee community now. We look after one another, and I love that. And if you are experiencing the Tower card in a traumatic way and you need a wee bit of support, ask and we'll be there. Okay, many blessings now, and I look forward to maybe a better weekly tarot card in the weeks to come. Bye now.